NFL draft week is finally here. People are talking a lot. We're going to sort out what we're hearing and tell you what it all means as you get ready to enjoy the festivities that start Thursday night in Green Bay. But first, I'm Bob Harris. This is the Audible YouTube channel. It's time to go on the hot seat. Footballguys.com. That's the website of choice, people. Appreciate you joining me here every Tuesday at this time. Hit the subscribe button, the notification bell. You can like us. You can dislike us. You can share, comment, all the YouTube-y stuff that makes the algorithm happy, makes us happy too. And I've got a great guest as usual. This time it's like I'm actually looking forward to this one because I have not talked to this person enough this offseason. Mike Dempsey, you know him as the co-host of this on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, the Football Diehard Show. We've been on hiatus, so it hasn't been a regular weekly reunion, but we touch base. You can follow him on the X device at MD_1010XL. He's also the host of Jaguars Today on 1010XL Radio in Jacksonville. Does all kinds of stuff, but mostly known for his great work with me, Bob Harris, on the Football Diehards and also on the Football Guys Daily Update podcast. If you listened to that last year, Mike, how are you, sir?
I'm all right. I think it's good for us to get away from each other after however many years, at 12, 13. We can't ever remember how many years we've done the show together, but we're back in a big way this week, however. So ready to go.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit, but we'll be on every night, including starting Wednesday night. We'll be on Sirius for a couple hours to preview, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as well. We'll run those times down for you before we get out of here. So everyone's talking about the draft. The buzz is crazy. It gets nuts. The real, I mean, from a fantasy perspective, I know Sigmund Bloom wrote about it this week. Like if you're in a dynasty draft, trade up to the 101 or think about trading out, right? In the 101, there's one player and it's Ashton Genty, and the rest of the running backs seems like a pretty even class. Your take on Ashton Genty? The presumed landing spot at the moment is at number 6 with Las Vegas, but are there teams that couldn't benefit from moving ahead of them, or are there teams already ahead of them that might be interested?
First of all, yes, trade up to the 101. If someone's selling it, it's kind of like the NFL draft. Right. Sure, all these teams want to trade back. Nobody wants to trade up because there aren't players there. You're not going to get the Browns off of Travis Hunter, right? For instance. And so good luck trading up to the 101. I'm sure it's possible. I'm sure it's been done. But yeah, I mean, I could see going the other way. If you like the depth of this running back class, it's not great on high-end wide receivers. Depends on what you're looking for. But as far as Genty goes, Bob, you and I did talk a couple of weeks ago, and I said then, don't be shocked if Jacksonville takes Genty at 5, or at least that he's in play for them. And I think that surprised you a little, but I feel like this is starting to become more of a, not that there's intel out there, because I don't think this new regime is putting out a smokescreen. I don't think they're saying anything, but I think people have finally come around to, well, wait a minute. If this makes sense for the Raiders, who clearly need a lot of help at a lot of positions, why wouldn't it make sense for a team in Jacksonville that their new head coach has said our number one priority is helping Trevor Lawrence? Now, people read that as offensive line. Maybe it's a wide receiver. You don't think giving it to Ashton Genty 320 times, carrying it and catching it is going to help Trevor Lawrence? So what about the Giants at 3, Bob? I mean, they saw what Saquon out the door. You think their fan base wouldn't be at least somewhat invigorated by that? And the Patriots at 4. I think all of those teams, especially now when you think if the Raiders truly are locked in on Genty, and I don't know if they are, by the way, that just seems to be the speculation. You know you've got to get ahead of them if you're the Bears, for instance. If you really think Genty, you've got a chance. So why wouldn't they start making calls at 3, 4, and 5 and see what the price is to move up?
Genty has visited 3 teams, and it's the Raiders, Bears, and Cowboys. Cowboys drafted 12, and the Bears, what is it, 8? 8 for the Bears?
Bears are 10.
Bears are 10, yeah. All right. So that's another thought. Like, if you're the Raiders sitting there at 6, and the Jaguars, like, would a new regime not want some draft capital? Or are they not going to expect you to field some offers? But to the bigger point that you said, like, since we last talked, I've talked myself totally into this. Like, I'm not an NFL GM, people, but if I were one, I'd be thinking, wow, the NFL is a copycat league. I just watched the Philadelphia Eagles stomp the living K-Pock out of everything in front of them with Saquon Barkley and a really good offensive line. Now, not every team is set up like the Philadelphia Eagles, right? You've got to take that into account. But if you're somewhere in that range, thinking that having a generational talent at running back along the lines of Saquon Barkley, who, by the way, Ashton Genty says he is Saquon Barkley or the next Saquon Barkley. And again, is going to get those 300 plus touches. It makes perfect sense. So that's going to be the move we're all waiting for. Now, the other running backs on the board, there's kind of a high end. I guess it's the presumed high end of, just looking at the amalgam of people out there. Our buddy Matt Waldman, Dane Brugler, just all the big names, Daniel Jeremiah. So Marion Hampton, Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, both the Ohio State guys, and Caleb Johnson are kind of like, however, whatever order. That's kind of the consensus. Do you see it the same?
It's weird on Hampton, right? Like,
right.
There are people that
really
think
widely
there's no way he's getting out of the first round. There are other people that don't have him anywhere near their top 5 running backs. I know Matt Waldman doesn't. Maurice Jones-Drew ranked him 8th overall among running backs. And I mean, if there's one position he should know, it is that. Look, I'll say this. People knock Genty for the caliber of competition that he played. Go look at that Hampton schedule from last year, because it was straight trash. Okay. I mean, the ACC was horrible. He probably had his best game against Florida State, who was ranked in the triple figures in terms of run defenses last year. So he fattened up on some guys. I like Travion Henderson a lot because of his receiving ability. The guy I really like, again, the late 3rd, early 4th, is Dylan Sampson, who I think can do a lot of things that a lot of these top guys can do. Tennessee, he's a shorter guy. I don't care about height for a running back. I think it's an advantage sometimes. I don't think there's much of a disadvantage with the height, as long as you're stout enough, as long as you've got the girth to withstand the pounding. But I like his speed. I like his receiving ability. I like a lot of things about him. So, look, I can go both ways here, Bob. I can see the value in taking Genty in a year where it's not a blue chip draft, right? Outside of maybe Hunter and Carter. Okay. But you can also say, well, wait a minute. This is a year where it's crazy deep at running back. So why are we going to reach for a running back? Well, you could say that about several. You could do that about Mason Graham, right? Mason Graham's a defensive tackle. It's a deep tackle class on the defensive side. So why would we take one in the top 10 when we could get one in the second round, for instance? You can play that game all day. Eventually, you got to pick somebody, right? And I think it's clear Genty's the top guy. But there are guys that I do like. I mean, I like R.J. Harvey a little bit out of UCF, but I really like Sampson in the middle rounds. I'm this guy. Like, I know people will say in dynasty drafts, take talent. Well, that's great if you've got the ability to wait 4 years, okay? Because we saw it. Michael the Burner Turner was super talented and didn't see a feature role until he left.
Landing spot matters.
It really matters with running back. So I could definitely see a case where if, let's say, Denver passed on a guy and Hampton went to some other team, and then Denver took a guy in the second round, that I would like that guy for fantasy more than I would like Omarion Hampton.
You mentioned like some guys we like later. I think one of the popular ones, I know Dave Kluge and Matt Waldman, our colleagues, football guys, both like Taj Brooks from Texas Tech an awful lot. It's weird. He played at 230, shows up at 215 at the combine. But Waldman talks about him as one of the guys that has the tendencies that coaches like, the turning lemons into lemonade. Doesn't take a loss, turns that 1 yard, behind the line contact into 3 yards and so forth. Rashard Smith's another guy that you hear a lot of people talking about. And I think there's going to be, but Blue makes a point on those guys. If you're drafting in your fantasy draft and you're waiting a couple rounds, like waiting for guys that go on day 3 from day 2, if you can get that similar value, makes perfect sense. There might be 20 guys capable of playing in the NFL at running back in this draft, and it just depends on the landing spot.
It does, but then again, that'll sort itself out too, right? Like, we'll get some landing spots, and then I think the consensus will be, well, there's a reason you're going to get that guy in the 3rd round compared to the other guys. So, yeah, there are some. Cam Scadable's the guy we didn't mention there.
I was just going to ask you about him. He's visiting with the Lions and Titans to kind of wrap things up today, but he's pretty. There's like the outlook on him is pretty varied, right? Like some people love him, some people don't.
Well, what you just said about Taj Brooks, I think is all day long about Scadabo. He's not going to take many losses, right? He's going to turn 1 yard into 3 yards. NFL coaches value that a lot more than we do. We value gaudy, eye-popping numbers at the end of the day. They want to move the chains a lot. He's a good receiver. He's got that, great heart, apparently. I mean, from what we understand about the guy, I could absolutely put him in the right spot. And I think he's no doubt a top 24 fantasy running back. Now, again, that's the right spot. What are those spots? I mean, you mentioned Tennessee. They're going to have Pollard. That'd be kind of a timeshare. Dallas, absolutely. Dallas has got some opportunity, despite the fact that Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders both signed there this offseason. By the way, Javonte, I think, is a crazy sleeper right now. Just insane.
Right now in the best balls. And we're out there. Mike and I are drafting in best balls right now, have been for the last month. And we're finding some of these values. And some of the rookies are going at crazy prices too. But we mentioned the Raiders, the Bears, the Cowboys, Broncos are the obvious teams like that we're looking at in the first round is probably having a need. And then after that, we're gonna look at the landing spots for all these players. Last year's class was considered deep at running back as well. Many of them are great special teamers and not great running backs. Do you sense more turnover maybe coming this year though with this group going against the guys that are in place? Like you mentioned, Jacksonville. Is Travis Etienne? Have we decided that Travis Etienne Jr. is no longer a thing?
Well, what is he? Is he a guy who averaged under 4 yards a carry for the last 2 years?
Yes.
He is. That is he a guy who also averaged over 5 yards a carry in 2022? Yes, he is that, but he hasn't displayed that breakaway ability at all recently. There are many people who feel like Tank Bigsby is a better down in, down out back, particularly between the tackles. He's playing on the 5th-year option this year, which I have heard nothing in terms of a contract extension being offered up. And why would you when you've got this crop of running backs out here? So the problem with that is, okay, let's say the Jags draft Genty, or they take a running back at 36, right? And they're going to, with the plan on making him the new feature back. What are you going to get for ETN? I mean, in a year where you've got all these running backs, right? And ETN's making 5th-year option money, which is not chump change at that position. So, but that is, look, the Giants, do you think they're tied to Tyrone Tracy?
No, I don't think they are. I think the thing you said earlier, Joe Shane trying to go from Joe Shame back to Shane, right? Like you publicly are humiliated by, planting your flag on the quarterback and moving on from the running back because you're planting on the quarterback. I mean, lesson learned. I'm smart enough to figure this out.
Let's say they don't take Genty, Bob. Second round, right? Let's say now they got to get their quarterback somewhere, or a quarterback somewhere, right? But all right, early third round running back. There are going to be plenty of them there. I think that's definitely a team to watch out.
Just looking through the first round, the Bengals, like, is Chase Brown the only guy that they're going to lean on? Do they have enough depth for him? With Denver, does Pittsburgh feel like they have enough with Jaylen Warren? I don't know that they do.
Oh, no.
Green Bay?
No. I do like Kenneth Gainwell right now as an April sleeper, but I think that's going to change. But you're right. Look, they wanted Zach Moss to split it with Chase Brown last year, and Moss was completely ineffective. Is it beyond? What if they took Scatabo? Right. And said, okay, we got this guy's going to handle the tough stuff. Yeah, he can catch it too. And Brown's going to be a little bit more of a change of pace, take it to the house from distance guy. Then everyone's been overdrafting Chase Brown. If that turns out
including
to be the
me,
case.
especially
all
me.
Of us, right? I mean, I don't have that many shares, but if you want him, maybe once in a while he slips into the 4th round, but you got to spend pretty early capital.
He's like at the 3-4 turn, and I think for me that's been like irresistible spot. By the way, everybody, if you're out there listening to this and love this content, the 2025 Football Guys Rookie Draft Guide is 3.0, goes live on Wednesday the 30th after the draft. Everything you need to crush your drafts, updated everything, fantasy outlooks for every relevant player, projected team depth charts, round drafted, updated rankings, big boards, plus everything from versions 1.0 and 2.0. If you want Rookie Draft Guide 3.0, you have to be an elite, Hall of Fame, or GOAT level subscriber to get it at no charge. Otherwise, you're going to keep going with version 2.0, which is great, but doesn't have all the information. So check that out. Also, starting Monday, the daily email update. It starts up every day again. It's been kind of two times a week. The biggest stories of football, summarized, explained, brought right to your inbox every day. News from me, Cecil Lammy, Sigmund Bloom. So check that out. You don't want to miss it. And at some point, might be some Mike Dempsey and me talking about all that stuff in the future. So
check it out anyway. Okay.
Stay tuned for more on that. And also, like on our schedule, Mike, I want to just get those out there because I will be on, the Football Guys will be running live streams on Thursday night. I'll be on with Sigmund and Matt Wallman. Joe Bryan will join us. We'll have other guests, but I'll be on from 7:45 until midnight. I'll be jumping on Sirius after that from midnight to 1 a.m. I'll be doing a solo wrap-up show. Mike will be on Sirius from what time are you starting?
Thursday, we're doing 8 to midnight, and Friday, I think it's 7 to 11.
That's with Jeff Manns and Jeff Ratcliffe. And then I'll be jumping on Thursday night with Dave Kluge and Alfredo Brown from 9 to 9:30. They'll have a series of guests throughout the entire second round. Then I'll be doing a wrap-up show on Sirius from 11 to 1 a.m. Mike and I will come back on Saturday from 4 to 7. We will be live, basically wrapping up the draft. I think Waldman will jump on among other guests with us.
You're asking me because you're not quite sure.
I'm never quite sure. I'm lucky.
4 to 7, right? Yes. That is 4 to 7.
I don't know, right? And then from Sunday, we're on 3 to 5. We'll be doing the post-draft draft, and I'll be drafting that. We'll be having a good time. So tons of content available. The Football Guys, the Audible channel, the Fantasy Football channel, all will be doing live streams Thursday night on the Audible with Bloom and Waldman hosting, and me hanging around, causing trouble. So check all that out, and Joe Bryan will be jumping on with us as well. So the wide receiver, Mike, we've got issues because the best wide receiver is not actually a wide receiver. He's actually a cornerback, but also a wide receiver. Is there any question Travis Hunter going with 2 overall in your mind?
I think, yeah. I mean, look, you can't say 100% certainty on much of anything, right? Other than I feel that with Cam Ward at this point in time.
Right.
But I think it's highly likely that Travis Hunter, better than 90% likelihood that he's going to end up there. And then who's going to get him the football will become the question.
Well, but the bigger question is, what do we do as fantasy investors? Like if you're in an IDP league or a regular league, I mean, how do you split that up? How do you think the leagues will be handling the scoring on a player like that?
Well, if you're in an IDP league, you should get full credit for any points that Travis Hunter plays, regardless of if you play him as a wide receiver or a corner. And I know the Football Diehards Dynasty League, that is my plan, unless there's some reason that MFL will not allow that, but he should be qualified as a wide receiver or a corner. Much like Taysom Hill, you could play as a quarterback or a tight end for a number of years, and I think this is legit. And from that standpoint, if you're in an IDP league, and you could play this guy as a corner and get wide receiver numbers in addition to the corner numbers, he's right up there with Genty to me at the top of the list. But if you're talking about strictly as a wide receiver, I still like him the best out of this rookie class. I think he has the most high-end talent of any player here. I don't know if you're going to get a great return on your investment in his rookie season again, but we don't know who's going to be thrown to him. Now, if it worked out where somehow the Browns were able to draft Hunter and get back up in the first round and get Shadur Sanders, say they moved up right ahead of Pittsburgh at 21 if Sanders takes a slide, and I think that's possible. That's a different story. That's a different story now, but
I agree. You look at the team with needs at the position. Green Bay, Carolina, Los Angeles, the Chargers could use somebody. The Jets, Patriots, Bills, just all come immediately to mind as needing frontline players. There aren't enough frontline players to go around at the position, in my estimation. So we're looking at it's interesting because there does seem.
You think the Bills are in that big a need for a wide receiver?
We'll see what Josh Palmer. I mean,
Well, that's the thing. They gave him a pretty sizable 3-year deal. They drafted Coleman in the first round, and they gave an extension to Shakir. I'd be surprised if they went
what do they think? I guess it's what they think Coleman is after, and we can have a discussion over the course of time and how he's being used. And there's things I like about him and a lot of things I don't like about him, which is mostly the usage. But I do like the way Josh Allen tones in on him. So the Packers and Panthers, come immediately to mind, though. And the Jets could definitely use someone. They just picked up the option.
Isn't the Packers crazy, though? I mean, because a year ago, coming off what they did, we're like, oh my gosh, they've got 4 young wide receivers. Right. They don't know what to do. They can't get them all on the field at the same time. And now we're like,
especially with Christian Watson unlikely to go. So looking at the guys not named Travis Hunter at the top of the board, it's Ted McMillan, Matthew Golden, Luther Burden, in whatever order. Do you see it that way? I mean, there's some pretty wide variance in how people see them. Matt Waldman likes Burden the best. Most guys like Ted McMillan the best.
Todd McShay ranks McMillan 50th overall, by the way.
Right.
So you want to talk about a wide range of opinions on these guys? I like Emeka Egbuka. Fitting into the right spot. You see a lot of mocks, and obviously you see the Jag logo behind me, but you see a lot of mocks where he's at 36, and he is a great compliment to a Brian Thomas Jr. type receiver. I don't know if he's going to be around at 36. It's going to be fascinating to see where the runs come in the first round. Yeah. Because there isn't a great depth, but I do think, Bob, that you look at McMillan. Okay, what kind of receiver are you looking for? If you want that big-bodied, contested catch type, he seems to be that. He's not going to blow you away with his speed. That's okay,
right.
For that type of receiver. Golden's going to be a speed guy, but his own coach was surprised that he ran as fast as he did, which kind of tells you, is he just benefiting from the training for the scouting combine here. So,
and maybe somebody gets a better deal on Isaiah Bond, who made all the big talk and then didn't run the impressive 40, but he's going to go somewhat later because of it.
Yeah, well, he gets charged with what? Sexual assault?
Yeah, he kind of handled that pretty well, though.
Accused of. Yeah, I'm not saying accused of.
He gave up all the texts. I mean, he's been pretty forthright about the whole thing.
But if that's looming and you don't have a clear settlement on what's going to happen with that can ding him in this process. Yeah, I like Jack Besh. If you start to get into like pick 50 to say 80, somewhere in that range, I think Besh is good. I think Jaden Higgins, again, another big-bodied type guy. Depends
Jalen Noel, someone people are talking about all of a sudden that I'm hearing more. I heard Nate Tyson, Matt Harmon talking about him this week, and that was pretty interesting discussion there. I know Brugler has him as wide receiver 5. Jalen Royals is another guy that seems to be climbing up a little bit. I think Alec Iamander is a guy that kind of like people are soured on.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's a very good route runner. He's a guy I'm watching for in Jacksonville. If they don't go wide receiver, let's say at 36, when you get to, like pick 107, get into the early 4th round. So, I like the guy. Here's the problem. I think there are a lot of guys that can help and can contribute, right? I don't know how many guys we're going to look at and go, they're complete players that can be fantasy relevant. I think there are guys that have a good trait that can fit in with teams and can help a team, not necessarily your fantasy team as much as
I think after we get past Igbuka, let's say that top 4 or 5, then I think I see a lot of guys who are going to be on the bottom of my dynasty rosters for a long time gathering dust. A lot of Michael Wilsons, right?
Like taxi squad guys, yeah.
Right, guys that'll be playing in the NFL, but will they be truly contributing? We'll have to see. We'll be watching for those landing spots as well. Let's look at the quarterbacks. Cam Ward, it was interesting. Kyle Brandt was talking about this on Good Morning Football on Monday morning. Are we not allowed to talk about Cam Ward? For a guy that's going to be the number 1 pick overall in the draft, nobody talks about him. What is he, Mike?
A guy I'm glad my team doesn't have the number 1 pick selecting. Honestly, like when you hear what was it Schefter put in his notes column today that somebody said he would have gone behind the top 7 quarterbacks last year, and it wasn't even close. Now, I know a lot of them went early. Doesn't mean he wouldn't have been a first-round pick, but, I mean, he's a guy with tremendous amount of physical ability that really, is the best of not too great bunch is what he is. So I get it. If you're Tennessee and you need one and you're picking number 1, he seems to be the clear-cut number 1, but I don't know what his ceiling is.
I just got Daniel Jeremiah's 150, that he just put out like within an hour we're recording this, and he has Ward at number 8. I know, I like Jeff Legwold at ESPN puts out a nice top 100 guys that I think is like I've used the last couple of years. He has him at like number 18 or something. I mean,
I've seen a lot of that. Yeah,
all over the place, and it's only because he's quarterback. So that brings up the point I want to say is I'm interested in how many quarterbacks go in round 1. Every year I talk myself into believing it's going to be 1 guy or 2 guys. And then every year it ends up being more guys. It feels like the FOMO, the angst of realizing there's not 32 guys who can play the position at the level necessary. And people see guys that somebody fell in love with. Last year it was Bo Nix that Sean Payton fell in love with. And it turned out he was a pretty good quarterback. So I'm not going to be shocked if there's 1 quarterback going in round 1. I'm not going to be shocked if there's 5. I'll be very surprised.
I'll be surprised that there's 5.
Shadur Sanders is on the list. Jackson Dart, Tyler Shuck, Jalen Milroe is the one that interests me, though. I heard Tom Pelissero talking early Monday that there's 5 or 6 coaches who totally believe he's a better runner than Lamar Jackson.
Maybe so, but he's a much lesser passer at this stage than Lamar Jackson.
Right, and that's kind of your view of it. Is he a guy that maybe merits? But if you're an NFL team and you're thinking, man, I need to win a Super Bowl at some point, is that not somebody you might sneak back into the first round? Maybe you pick earlier in the round?
Well, what about the Rams at 26? Stafford, you can look at this as a 1-year deal, and then we change, we build our offense around this guy. I mean, that's possible. Look, I think all these guys are possible, but I don't think all these teams are going to give up. Look, as somebody said, if you like, who was it?
Right.
If like Shadur Sanders enough to trade back into the first round, what the hell are you doing taking a chance that he won't be there?
You won't get him.
Take him at your pick. If you like him enough to make that move. Now, you say that, but we mentioned Lamar Jackson. Who did the Ravens take in the first round that year? Hayden Hurst. And then they traded back in and got Lamar. So they had questions about Lamar. but they felt like the value was too good to not take a roll of the dice on.
Yeah, I think it's super interesting how that plays out every year. And again, like I don't think it's going to be 5, but if it's more than 3,
It would not surprise me if it's 1.
Right.
Honestly, it really would. And then you start
I feel the same.
Top around 2.
So if you're looking at Shadur Sanders, is he what offense do you see him fitting? Is it the Giants? Is it the Raiders? Who do you see him being a fit for?
I mean, it's whomever it is, it's got to be a team that I think has a pretty good offensive line for him to succeed. Now, you can say that about any quarterback, but his ability to buy time in college is not going to be reflected in his athletic ability at this level. He's not that guy. He's going to be a guy that processes in the pocket and tries to win from the pocket, which you can still do in the National Football League. So, I mean, this one, like the Saints are seen as the likeliest landing spot for him, but you also hear that they like Dart. They're in love with Dart. And they're who, by the way, I watched a couple games this year, Jackson Dart. I mean, okay. Again, not the year to need a quarterback, man.
If I look at him and I look at Tyler Shuck, I think I want the 6'5", 220-pounder that moves around and has a huge arm.
Sure, but of course, Tyler Shuck is already older than Trevor Lawrence,
right?
Who, he should dominate when he's 25 years old in college. Correct. So, is he Chris Wenke, who put up a Heisman season and then was horrific when he got to the
closer to Bo Nix, who played almost as many years.
Maybe so, right? At least, the thing with Bo Nix, though, you mentioned him. Last year, there was some buzz that the Broncos liked Bo Nix. Now, did we think that they liked him enough to take him in the first round? You're not hearing that specifically with some of these other teams. The guy I like that almost assuredly you could get probably beginning in the 3rd round is Kyle McCord out of Syracuse.
Yeah, Syracuse.
If you're not going to make a guy, like once you decide I'm not going to take that guy with my first pick, you're unsure if that guy's going to be your franchise guy. I'm not saying it wouldn't be a great value to get Shadur Sanders late in the first round or at the top of round 2. It probably would. But once you make that, I'm not sure there's a true guy to commit to. McCord's the guy to me that I'd be willing to roll the dice on.
Does Quinn Ewers fit in that kind of similar category?
To some, I mean, there's Quinn Ewers for some unknown reason was able to start over Arch Manning. Arch Manning, who, by the way, if he were in this draft, even as little as he played in college, would be the number 1 overall pick, and it wouldn't even be close. People would roll the dice on the Manning name. I've heard that teams like Quinn Ewers, that certain teams really like Quinn Ewers, that he could be a sneaky 2nd round pick. But I've also heard that, he could be 4th or 5th round. It could last a long time. I think most of these guys, well, there's going to be 1 or 2 that stumble into a starting opportunity along the way, and maybe they'll even do well at it. But again, man, I mean, I think if you draft one of these quarterbacks, you have to understand what you're getting yourself into, whether it's McCord or Ewers, that this could be turning into a project that may never work out for you.
Right. And when you're drafting one later, you realize that. In 2010, Mike, Rob Gronkowski had 42 catches as a rookie. Last year, Brock Bowers broke 100. I wrote it in this week's fantasy notebook. You can read that for free at the website, people. Tight end hasn't evolved. It's mutated. The last couple of years, rookie tight ends coming in and dominating, whether it's Bowers, Laporta. We've seen others fare reasonably well this year. We've got Tyler Warren coming in. We've been playing in the best balls, as I mentioned. He's currently in wide receiver or tight end 8 going in round 9, about the 100th pick. Colston Loveland, the Michigan tight end, is behind him and is behind him in the rookie draft guide as well. He's tight end 13 going round 10. After that, you've got guys like Harold, and this is currently without knowing their destination. Harold Fannin Jr. is tight end 29. Mason Taylor's tight end 34. Elijah Arroyo, tight end 36. They're available in the last round of your draft, along with guys like Tyler Higbee, Chigakonkwo, Tyler Conklin, Theo Johnson, Noah Gray. What do you think of those? Not the top 2. You could throw those in too. What's your level of interest in this tight end class, which is supposed to be pretty good at the top end?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, right now, without knowing their destination, Loveland over Warren for fantasy for me. I mean, that's me. I think that's more of what he's going to be. I think some teams are going to look at Warren and be like, yes, he's a great run after the catch. Yes, he could be a great receiver, but he's also our 6th offensive lineman. I think Loveland's being drafted to be an offensive weapon, and that's it. Mason Taylor's the guy now who is moving up. But if you want, pass catching tight ends, I think Gunnar Helm out of Texas. I mean, if you want to really wait, Luke Lachey out of Iowa, who doesn't want to take a chance on an Iowa
All
tight
the
end?
Iowa guys for
All
sure.
day, right? I mean, Terrence Ferguson out of Oregon, I think is a nice another
combine.
kind of two-way guy that could give you a little bit of the ruggedness. But a guy like Arroyo, he's going to be like a wide receiver for you there. I'm trying to think of the other names you mentioned going late.
Fannin Jr. is a guy that like, seems like he's a little undersized, but maybe overlooked
look at the productivity. Landing spot again, and how the team plans to utilize him. But the buzz today was that Fannin has got the rocket strapped to his back. That the tight end coaches around the league, other than the obvious couple guys maybe at the top, that Fannin is kind of their guy. Like, this is the guy. Look at his productivity last year. I mean, it's hard. The numbers were staggering what he was able to put up at BC. In the right system. And I don't think he gets drafted to the wrong system because you know what he's going to be. He's not going to be Tyler Warren. He's going to be a receiving specialist. But the buzz now is that may not get out of the second round. So, yeah, I think that's a very worthwhile final last couple round dart toss in a best ball right now.
All right, the green flag waves Thursday, the green flag to your fantasy football season, the start of the NFL draft. We get a helmet on everybody. We know where they're ending up. We know who the competition is. We know the schemes they're playing in. We know what the skill sets are. We know what we've been hearing. Now we'll compare all that with what happens on Thursday night. You can catch me and Mike all throughout the week on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, starting Wednesday night, 8 to 10 p.m. Then Mike will be on covering the first round live from 8 to midnight. I'll be on from midnight to 1. Friday night, do the same drill. I'll be on at 11 to 1 after Mike gets done with his shift, so you can listen to that. Then Saturday, 4 to 7 p.m., Sunday, 3 to 5 p.m., we'll be doing the post-draft draft. I'll be doing live streams. You can catch me with Sigmund Bloom and Matt Waldman on Thursday night from 7:45. I'll stick around till 11:30. They're going to run until midnight. Then again, Friday night, I'll be on with Alfredo and Kluge. We'll be going from 9 to 9:30, but they'll be going all night live as well. Check that out. Be ready for the Rookie Draft Guide version 3.0. It'll be coming out Wednesday after the draft, and I'll, of course, sign up for the free daily email. You don't want to miss out on that. Mike Dempsey, thank you very much. We'll be seeing each other quite a bit in the coming days.
Too much, I'm sure.
All right, man. All right, thanks, everybody. I'll see you here next Tuesday for another edition of On the Hot Seat.